Break OTR.
All right, we got a couple of early check-in items out there, so we will pick those up. Hello, Tony.
I just want to try to jump in there before the Hawaii blocks me out. Can you please check me in?
I will do that. Yeah, I think because we're, getting darker earlier, it's helping with the skip conditions. So I will get you checked in, and you are sounding good, Tony.
All right, thank you, Dennis. Have a great night. I'll watch the replay in the morning.
All right, indeed. And we have, also want to get to Dino 61 in.
Good check. OTR 195.
And 195, when we have a clear channel with no Hawaii, Jim, I will get you in as well.
Thank you, sir. OTR.
The break OTR, go ahead, over.
Good evening, Dennis. You got the legend 50. I'm checking in already there.
All right, I will get you in there. Bob 53 with an X in the square, over.
Thank you there, Dennis. And also Joe Jaybird up there got the YouTube. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.
All right, good deal. I also want to get Bones, Mr. Ronnie checked in at 82, and since Radio Boy is out there at 72 with the 10.5 machine, we will get you in as well.
Thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, I have a feeling Skipland will come back when they get into the gray line. All right, let me get the jingle singers here to do the semi-official opening of what is sometimes known as the old Tube Radio Network. See if
You
it's
may not
actually working.
find us on your TV because in case you did not know,
Whoa.
we're being brought to you by OTR. Brought to you by 27.085 megahertz.
A little better.
Brought to you by RADI. The old Tube Radio Network.
Okay, they are plotting for our shortwave listeners and our tube radio operators. What do they say? All the ships at sea. I believe we are up and running at oldtuberadio.net on the audio side. If you got that set up. Also, looks like the video is up and running. A lot of people out there listening in, probably jumping in over from old Radio Night. JT on the, what was he on? The Courier Royale, looking and sounding good. And of course, your radios tonight coming up. Let me bring in the control room here. I do have the preview. The preview is back in, so you'll be able to know if I'm doing my job and clicking the buttons tonight. My name is Dennis, Net Control Operator, one of the many Net Control Operators here on the old Tube Radio Network since, I don't know, a long time ago. When a group of people said, let's jump off of channel 14, go down to channel 11, fire up our tube radios that all have the channel 11 crystals, and we will have a good time, as we used to do on a Saturday night, or on any night for that matter, with our tube radios. So you will be hearing those style of radios coming up when we talk to the radio collectors. We'll be checking in with the shortwave listeners, and who knows what else as we see what's happening with Skipland. We are on the eighth week of the 8-week roster. It is very possible, and I will know probably in moments. I believe I will know. No, I will not be here next week. And why is that? It is because I will be attending, yes, I will be attending my 50th reunion, one of those high school things. So I will be out at that. You know, they have to do everything on Saturday evening, so I'll be out there. So we'll have a hiatus. That doesn't mean you shouldn't stop by and listen in. Maybe I'll leave the audio stream. You shouldn't stop by and get on the air. I mean, you don't need me sitting in the air chair to do that. But won't have the associated video things turned on as well. Okay, with that, and they say they'd like to see something on the meter. How about that? That's just a random thing. Good deal. Let's start the roll call. 00. I know that Neil's out there. and Neil says that he remembers, he's dating himself here, but he remembers when the opening and closing theme for OTR was Don Ellis with the 5-4 getaway. I don't even know, how do you count that? And now Neil knows it's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Is that how Brubeck does it? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I don't know. How do you count 5? All right. And I want to live in America. Something like that. All right. Well, maybe we can, I think the royalties ran out. As soon as we went to YouTube, we had to make sure we got rid of everything that was copyrighted, lest we get those little red flags in the mail. All right, 00 checking in. Thanks, Neil, for that. We'll also get you on your other mode of operation at 147 SWL number 1, the Cosmic Check-In, and OBP. He is 9 pounds, good modulation at Chestnut and Herndon, and I think he might still be out there on the YouTube video site. So say hello to Kevin, won't you? And I am paranoid now. So I look around the room and up and down to see if all the lights are flashing and the meters are correct and things like that. So I don't know. Things change. I set this stuff up hours ahead of time, and as it sits and does what it does, it undoes what I've done. SWL3, I've got a check-in for Rob from Facebook. Then we'll jump over to, is Mr. Rainmaker, is Levon out there? I think he was over at Old Radio Night. If you're there, Levon, I'll get you checked in. And I always remind people you don't need to be on any list or whatever to stop by and say hello, make a comment, check in, whatever. This is your Old Tube Radio Network, and we're glad to have you around. Let's go to, I know this guy's here, SWL7.
SWL7, check in.
Sounding good. I was listening in on the portable radio as I was running around the QTH earlier. You guys were sounding good on the test. Was that the 8? What were you on? Was it the 890? No, 900. What did you have previous?
Yes, that was the FT890.
The 890. The 890 and the 900, I think, were Yaesu's last radios, and correct me if I'm wrong, that do not have menus, right? There is not a menu button on that radio.
No menus, no audio controls. Yeah, it's just plug and play and knobs that are right there on the radio.
Yeah, those were the last, the 890 and the 900. Very underrated, I think. I got a kitty here that is going to do bad things. Yeah, very underrated. Good sounding audio and a lot of forward movement on the meter. I'm not sure what you went for, but it was good. Those, if you can find anybody out there, you find one of those, and the prices are actually quite reasonable. Yeah, it's not a 21st century radio, but they play well everywhere. Thanks, Ed. You're sounding good.
Oh, thank you. And it actually has a very good receive, too.
And if you don't like menus, it ain't got them. None of that. Press this button to turn a knob to find a thing that you need to press the button again. So none of that stuff. It's all right there in front of you. All right, sounding good. Not that menus are bad. They do a lot of things, but sometimes it's like your phone. It's like sometimes you just want to pick up a phone and make a call. It looks like a phone. It's not like you have to swipe something and turn the phone on and find the numbers, and you know what I mean. Let's go to all the way over to SWL10, and Chrissy, I can see them jumping out of the corner of my eye over here on the screen. So 10 and 30 checking in. It's really quiet. Have Dwayne on the standby with the Robin or the Browning. I have a feeling that the north-south skip might just come rolling in. The Hawaii just died out quickly. But anyway, you're sounding good. Hope all is going well up there and you've had a good week. Let's go over to SWL 11. And SWL 12, the dynamic duo, Cornbread and Dapper Dan. Dapper Dan, they spent extra time getting me prepped for the air chair tonight. The tie is perfect. The makeup crew, they spent extra time. I think they looked at last week's video and said, you know what? you need help. So I am now this close. I am on the same lap with Dapper Dan now for being suave. 11 and 12 are in. Let's go to SWL 13. And I would go over to my other computer, and I will refresh the comments because, yeah, you can check in there. Who's out there? Let me see. In the balcony, Mariposa. Is that Jeff? Who's out there in Mariposa tonight? Fresno, California, Newcastle, Virginia, Middletown, Ohio, Inez, Kentucky. Mr. Van Man, we will get you checked in. Anchorage, I bet that's Tyler. So we're coming up to you. Don't go away. Sylvania, Ohio, will be up to you. Plymouth, Minnesota, Copenhagen. How do I say that? How do these West Coast North American guys pronounce that properly? Like, F-R-E-S, capital N, capital O. That's where we are at. Hans will be coming up to you shortly. Hello to some Fresno stations. Chet and Charlie are in there right up here in the front row with the cue cards. People don't believe. He's not going to hand over the cue card tonight. All right, well, that's okay. Let's go to SWL 14 out in Sanger.
SWL 14 checking in.
All right, I hear you fine. No problems whatsoever. Thanks for joining us on the Old Tube Radio Network tonight. Yeah, I was getting some static too. I think it's on my end. It's some what do they call it? IMD products from an adjacent item of interest. So it does go away. So hopefully the wind or the rain or the wind and rain will wash away all that crud in the power lines. Thanks for stopping by. So 14 is in. Oh, I was going to check. And there he is, SWL 13. I started talking like I often do and forgot what I was supposed to do. 13, Mr. Cobra, check, and you will see the 13 check. Is that working? I got to get my display screen here. Okay, it is there. Thank you very much. Over to SWL 15. Hans is in the house. He was over on Old Radio Night. He gets around. He's the fastest mouse over there, making sure that he's getting in on Old Radio Night, the Old Tube Radio Network. Thanks for joining us here on the West Coast, Central Valley of California, up and down the middle of the state, X in the square. SWL 16, Charlie. Charles is in, up here in the front row. You guys did a good job. I might actually want to watch the video. I want to see the radios. We should have a couple of radios tonight. It was a beautiful day here in Fresno. It rained a little bit. It cleared the air. The skies were blue. The wind was nice. We've been having those late September, early October dust and yucky air quality. And whatever happened today, at least cleared it out for a second or two. So very nice. I tried to open the window and there was just too much wind. Let's go to, thanks Charlie, SWL 17. SWL 18 gets a check-in from Facebook for Mr. KDA. SWL 19 in beautiful, or somewhere near Derby, New York, on the cue cards tonight. So I thought I will not make a mistake. Well, I'll make a mistake, but it won't be because I'm not paying attention probably. SWL 20, hello Harvey.
Number 20 here. Please check in 29 and 54 also. And proxy me in for next week. I'll be working and may not get back. I'll also have a radio of interest tonight and a radio for sale. Not this one, but a radio for sale.
Hey, that's a good thing. We got to get some more radios out and about here locally too. To get checked in. Radio item of interest. All right, thanks so much. I think, I will be out. So what we'll do is I'll postpone the new roster. That's what I'll do. And then everybody will they won't be missing a check. And usually I check everybody in. We'll just postpone the new roster and get it up and running when I get back. All right, thanks, Harvey. You're sounding good, and we will catch you in a little bit. Let's see. Let me go to SWL21. Let me go to JT first. I was listening from afar earlier on Old Radio Night, and he was on the Courier Royal. He may still be. Is it still running live? Let me bring the audio over. Oh, it's still on. He's still going. Let me go over to, if you're watching the YouTube, you'll
Hello,
see.
Dennis,
Hey.
SWL21, checking in.
There he is, live and direct with
SWL21, checking in.
And it says Unit 21 right there. He's got his clock. What time are you set? Oh, you're set at your regular time. It's 11:19. I thought that was a channel.
Well, I got to get over to the Old Tube Radio Network there. Old Tube Radio Network, standing by.
I thought that was the date, but it's the channel. It's the time there where he's at. It's late. The beautiful Courier Royale. We used to have a lot of those
hitting the
checking in.
thumbs up there. Everybody hit the thumbs up over there on Old Tube Radio Network. 21, back out.
Yeah, 21SC is the YouTube video page. So hang out at Old Radio Night and come over here. Let me show you. That is the audio leaking through from Old Radio Night, and I wanted to show something here if I can get the right buttons pressed. There we go. Do you have one of these as Net Control holds up the old? Let me hold it right here so you can see the Old Radio Night beacon badge with the antenna there. Pretty cool. That's Saturday evenings before this program. Back to the roll call. My headphones are wanting to fall off. We're on where we're at, page 1. Oh, and you know who's coming up next? Let me get to the proper item of interest. SWL22, Tyler. And we have, who's on the Echo Link? It's Tony. Okay, Tyler is checking in with his Skipper 71. Anybody with the Skippers out there tonight? The Skipper 71 that looks... Well, let me turn the camera on. Were I to go back, there's a Skipper of some sort behind me there, and I think that the 71 is based a lot. I can't zoom in, sorry about that. It is based a lot on that radio. And I think they had sideband as well. So, Tyler, thanks for joining us. Listen in. I will have to see if we've got an uplink link. We got the Squamish guys, we get a nice uplink direct and can hear them. So if I get something close to you, I'll have to see if we can try it on channel 11 if you got some radios hooked up. Good to hear you, or good to see you. Maybe hear you tonight. AK295 out there in Kilowatt Lima land. Thank you. Let's go to SWL23. And that is 23 Skidoo. I was seeing, I don't think he's been in. Who is, well, I'm keyed here. Neutral observation, hello to you. Running the Johnson Messenger 2, Rusty Rails, Boxman 362. One nice voice from Delta Kilowatt 5 land. Hello, Uncle Gunter. Thanks for joining us. I saw you over on Old Radio Night. Still got the 920. You know, can you see that? Is that in the show? You know what? It is. You know, and it's a sorry thing. Hold on. Did it show? We can't see it. I turned it on so it would illuminate, but it's not in the shot. So it'll just add a little bit more heat. That's all. That's a good thing. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Colo Radio. Thanks for joining us, Jose. 601 out of Texas. Thanks for doing it. And Radio Larry out there in beautiful, were I to have my memory, out there in Iowa City, sitting at the radio desk, listening. I don't know what frequency you're listening to. I know you're listening to Old Tube Radio, but on the big boy radio out there, what frequency you got turned on? Hope the conditions are good. Who else is out? I think it's a long transmission. I won't be able to complete the net. Steve, the Enterprise is checking in. Thank you, sir. Mud Bucket, United Delta X-Ray 483, joining us over on the video side. And a host of others. Rusty Rails, I noticed in Central Arkansas, checking in. Skip coming in from California. And you know what? That's right. I heard Mr. JT come in through 11. I was monitoring remotely, and I ran back in, and then the conditions changed. But he was working the proverbial skip room out there. JZ, take 5. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on Mr. Brubeck, Van Man. See you on the chart. Just want to say hello, Radio 2. A lot of people jumping in. And there's Levon. All right. And, okay, well, we'll get more as we go on. Hemorrhoids in there, too. Talking to Mr. OBP and, Mike 168 and also SWL 69 Kenny. So, a host of others. Here we go. SWL 24. And I probably got a note to check in 24, and I will do that. SWL 25. 25 was on the net the other nights, and I think he's doing a gig tonight, so we'll get 25 and 74 checked in. Let's go to SWL 27. The crossband is up. The Echo link is up. Uncle Gunter, happy last Saturday of evening of September to you all. And he makes a note, and he is correct, of course, that it is the beginning of October where he's at, and he's saying that we should not be afraid. The full moon is over, and October is looking good. Well, thank you for the fortune telling there, Gunter. The Cowboy UDX 357, saying hello, Radio. Thank you. Alpha Kilo 295. And it looks like conditions have moved. They absolutely have. In fact, you remind me that we have the DX map, all right, to be able to find it here and bring it up. Look at that. It was covered earlier. Look at that. 6 meters is open down in Los Angeles. We've got some openings up north, Washington, Idaho. So stand by. I think we're gonna be hearing from some stations here along the West Coast. Over to SWL 28. Hello, Garrett. And Ricardo, hello to you from Dayton, Ohio, a famous area. If you are into the Hamfest, are they still in Dayton, or do they move it? Somewhere close to Dayton, anyway. Let me get Mr. Loner checked in, SWL 29. Also SWL 30, Dwayne listening in, waiting for that skip to happen. And of course, Gary is in from Sacramento. What's going on? He's got his ice cold A&W cream soda and a scooter pie. Well, that'll make you sick just thinking about it. Did they have cream soda? I know they had the root beer. Do you have, and I have one of them. I don't know where it is. It's in a box. It's their really thick, clear A&W root beer mugs, and they are the original ones from long, long ago. Real, like a 3/4 of an inch thick glass with the ribbed edges, and it's got the A&W logo on it. I'll have to find that. I hate to say it, but I'm not a big root beer fan. But I suppose I could put something in my A&W glass. Would that constitute an advertisement? Would we get thrown off for that? I don't know. Anyway, Gary, you are sounding good. SWL 31. SWL 32. Shortwave listener 33. I will get the honking proboscis for Mr. Bozo Control. He says it doesn't hurt a bit when he does that, so don't do it. Don't do it anymore. But that's enough. Let's go to SWL 34. Jimmy Batavia, the guy that runs about half of all the Facebook pages that deal with your CB radio stuff. So anybody joining us from one of those pages, the Chicago group et al., thanks for tuning in the Alt-Tube Radio Network tonight.
Break OTR.
The break OTR, go ahead, sir.
24 checking in.
All right, at the radio and sounding good tonight, Joe. We've got you checked in. Over. Over on page 1, for those playing the home game, put the X. I've got the proxy, but put the X in the square for 24. Get a proxy in for Jimmy. He should be in a little bit later. Although, he may be away from the keyboard. I noticed he hadn't made a couple of posts, so hopefully all is going well there. Probably just a busy guy. Let's see who else is in. Do we see? I haven't seen Mr. Bill. Red Monkey Communications. It might be a busy time for them out there. We'll get Mr. Bill checked in. Let's go to SWL 36. SWL 37.
SWL 37 here, and good evening time, Dennis.
And good evening. Well, I'm sure you got a little bit of rain out there to make the car look more dusty than it was.
Well, yeah, I had to leave this morning to go over for a funeral at the church. As I was leaving, it started raining. And I just watched it.
Yeah, and they kept predicting it was going to be at night, in the morning, and it finally happened. It was enough to be nice, I think, unless, of course, you had just washed your car. But, okay, so it's your fault. Thank you. It's your fault we had the rain. Anyway, you are sounding good, and I've got you checked in. Over.
Thank you, Dennis. Talk to you. I'm going to try to get back in, but as you know, it's usually a movie night, but we'll see what we can do.
All right, good deal. We got you checked in, and you have made an appearance not only here on Channel 11-27085 in the Central Valley of California, but everywhere else on the Universal Media Netweb. So say hello.
Hello, United States of America and other states and countries.
And goodbye. All right, thanks. Okay, SWL 38, Sam. Sam, if you can make it in, more power to you from the hills of Byron. There are no Hawaii, but hang on. You may be able to do a link up through Idaho and back. Anyway, I will get you checked in. And Ricardo, back in 2017 to Xenia. Oh, that's right. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Xenia, Ohio, Hamvention. From May 17, 18, 19, and 24, is the kind of hiatus for COVID. All right. I have never been to one. We have people out here that actually fly. They get in their airplanes and fly to Dayton and then come back. I don't know if you buy any boat anchors that way, but at least you get there. We are looking for SWL 39. SWL 40. Okay, what are they doing up in the balcony? They're shining the flashlights. Oh, it's because Jukebox 502 is here. So okay, yeah, now we can start there. You must have a special chair. They're escorting you. They're escorting you in, not out. Thanks for joining us. SWL 41. SWL 41, right there. Checking in, of course, the Tri-County React group from the Hudson Valley, New York, saying good evening to everyone, and good very late evening back to you. It's almost October over there. SWL 42. Shortwave listener 43. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice, Ricardo. We have the Visalia DX convention, so for me it's about an hour drive. And I have never been to one yet, mainly because I'm always working or something comes up. But I guess that's our version, our mini version of the Hamvention out here And the West Coast is the Visalia DX. So I'm hoping, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I will get there. We'll get there next year. Let's go to, I've got a proxy check-in for SWL 43. Let's try, and he was sounding good last night on Ditchbanks, SWL 44. Got a proxy in for Mr. 360. I know I would hear him. SWL 45. Hello, Paul and Kelly. If you are tuning in, if you are listening, thanks for joining us tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. We got you checked in. SWL 46. Shortwave listener 47. He'll probably be by later. SWL 48. Got a proxy for 48 off of Facebook. SWL 49. From up in the hills somewhere, SWL 50. Out in Sangertown, if he's there, I'll hear him. SWL 51.
SWL 51 checks in, and also can you proxy Ray 360?
All right, I can do that. He's just up the street on your page here. So we've got Ray officially proxied in, and 305 sounding good as always. Thanks for checking in.
Thank you, Dennis. Have a good evening.
You know, I turned on the 920, and it's not even in the shot. I'm looking over it here. That's a darn good radio. That was, I think, my one radio that worked without a lot of wackiness going on. You know, the TS2000 had the bad finals, and I don't know. You just got to be careful with these 20-year-old radios, and I don't even think Yaesu supports it anymore with fixing it up. I don't know. Let's go to, where are we at? Oh, maybe direct off the portable antenna. I've got about 3 venues where he can check in. We'll see which one happens. SWL 52. Hello, Aaron.
Yeah, good evening, Dennis and everyone else on the net. SWL 52, behind the golden microphone in the Yay is mode of operation.
Yeah, isn't it cool to have an AM on that radio? Well, wait a minute. There's no mechanical knobs, right? You have to press a button to get good old AM.
Well, considering I'm sitting in front of my computer remotely operating the radio, I do everything on the screen.
Yeah, because that was some of the early, like the FT, was it 980 or the 857 that had knobs? Then there were certain functions that when you went to the CAT control, it's like, well, it's sort of a mechanical thing, and we can't really remote that. But they figured out how to do that in the 21st century. You are sounding good, and we've got the X in the square. And I think I did hear you. I was remotely listening when you stopped by the crossband earlier. So all is working over there.
Excellent. I'm on MIDI modes and MIDI bands. 5 antennas up on the roof, so counting. They keep reproducing. Oh, well. Let's get back to the net.
Well, hopefully they combine and do the right thing. You know, when you need a 40-meter antenna, you will get one. It's not for, what's the other band? 60 meters? I don't know. Anyway, it sounds good. So you've got it under control, and it's getting better by the moment. Did I say that this is the Old Tube Radio Network? Did I mention that? Did we play the theme? Yes, we did. Directing that roll call is where we are at. SWL 53, Mr. Belair checked in at the beginning of the net, page 3, SWL 54. I've got Larry checked in. Let's go way up the hill, SWL 55. Let's go back down the hill under the shade of the Deodar Cedar, SWL 56.
Good evening, Dennis and the net. 56, just for kicks.
Just for kicks, and it is the, the mobile number 4 is listening in. I had to turn off my beacon because for some reason, when it would listen for an ACK or whatever you call it, it was bleeding through my audio. I don't know why it was doing that. So anyway, that's why my APRS beacon is not up tonight, but yours is representing the middle of town here, so you are good to go. Thanks, Phil. SWL 57. And that is Mr. Brown Dog Audio, who may or may not be on a large delay tonight. Let's see if Jeremy is listening. SWL 58. SWL 59, Uncle Hairball. He's just trying to help out tonight and looking good. Here on the old Tube Radio Network, 59 got you checked in. Also, let's see if Mr. Hustler is listening in somewhere. SWL 60.
Now we're here, Dennis. I hope you have a copy on it. SWL 60 in on the 291 base.
Yeah, you've got a good signal and good audio to match. So we'll get you the big X in the square. Over.
Okay, thank you, Dennis.
All right. Don't know if the Kerman station is out there, but he sounded good at the beginning of the net. SWL 61. Dean is checked in. SWL 62. Shortwave listener 63. Beaconing from Wisconsin, another one of those fine number 9 stations, SWL 64. Hello, Craig. And he is right there. Looking good on my monitor. And I'm looking to refresh some comments. I don't want to miss anybody. Craig is in SWL 65. Shortwave listener 66. SWL 67. SWL 68, Michael checking in early. He was checking in late where he's at. Out there in central New York, but checking in early tonight. 68 is in. Also, Kenny, I guess they're having a heat wave in the corn belt, or whatever they call it. That's, Kansas and Oklahoma, the Gulf Stream is doing something, right? That when you guys have heat, that's that the Gulf Stream is not dipping as much as it should. Here we're having some rain, so we're sending some cool weather your way. But Kenny was saying it was warm. I say, Kenny, it's the one time that you wish you were in Fresno, probably for the weather. Anyways, it was really nice today. Got you checked in as always. Thanks for jumping in and saying hello to the group here in Central California, SWL 70. Trying to get my wacky scroll ball mouse to work. SWL 71. Stan is in from Dallas, Georgia. Hope you are not too busy, or if you're busy, it's the fun kind of busy, right? Never a dull moment. Thank you, Stan. SWL 72 checked in early, Mr. Radio Boy, with a couple of 10.5s over to SWL 73. Got a proxy check-in for Miss Jilly, SWL 74, over to SWL 76. I'm looking on the scroll bar here. Do I see anybody from Rhode Island tonight? Are they plugged in and on the air? Western Pennsylvania is. Crash 350 saying hello radio to all the stations. Hope they're enjoying propagation. What we did earlier, and we're hoping for some the short skip propagation tonight. SWL 77. Got a note to proxy in 1017. I will do that. SWL 78 from perhaps Wild Wildemar. And Mr. JT, 21SC, you were looking good, sounding good on the Courier tonight. And yes, I wasn't recording it. Well, actually, it was recorded on the early replay, which is probably not going to make the archives. But I definitely heard you coming through on Channel 11 when you gave a shout out to Fresno. So you did good. So go take care of the shoulder and put your custom cover back on. Let it cool off a little bit. Put the custom cover back on the Courier Royale, and we will listen for you next week on Old Radio Night. So 73. Over at SWL 79. And yeah, at 502, the Echo Link is up. We do have a station, but I think I allow multiple contacts. So if you were to get it to beacon in, you would probably be able to ding it and get on. So it's up. So if you want to keep trying, not a problem. Let's go to SWL 80. And we'll be going to page 4. The limos, the big red limo and the blue limo. Thanks to Bob, who really knew how to put on a good show, as it were. We're out and about this week. I'm not exactly sure what they were up to, but I know that the drivers were dressed up, and they were making stops up near north of town. So something was going on. So as always, we will get a good report back, and thanks for helping out the community. In the name of the Old Tube Radio Network, page 4 is where we are at. You would be looking for SWL 81, as am I. Yeah, sometimes on the phone for Echolink, there is a setting about it tries to find a proxy server, and there are some strange little things you have to have set up so it can find the server and get in or get out, and there are firewalls and who knows what else. So, SWL 82, we have a proxy for check-in for Mr. Ron. JZ, I know you are out there on Old Radio Night. Are you beaconing in here on the Old Tube Radio Network out there in Ohio? And also hello to Captain Robert. So, yeah, do what the doctor says. I will check you in. The honking proboscis. Sometimes that may be all the medicine one needs, is a honk here and there, but don't go just with that. If the doctor says you've got something to go in as well, do that as well. You don't want to get blamed for anything going on here. Let's go to SWL. Oh, we got got everybody. SWL 84, 86, 87, and 88. That's, of course, the Cheerios Kid, Mountain Maid Tandy Girl, and the Snowy Owl, respectively. Here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Popcorn 913. You guys are set up in the mezzanine, I see. So if you are up in the balcony and don't want to take the stairs, the elevator down into the green room, please stop by and see the 913 gang to get your... And they have the good popcorn. They got the red and white striped little containers. It looks like it's that popcorn you remember. The same popcorn you used back in 1967 when you were talking on your tube radio. SWL 89. SWL 90. SWL 91. And that would be Felix, who will probably be jumping in right there with an X in the square. Saying good evening, hello radio to the shortwave listeners and Old Tube Radio operators. I'm not sure. I know who the SWLs are most of the time, but I don't know who the tube radio operators are until we open it up for tube radio check-ins and see who is out there. Let's head over to 777 Jimmy, the SWL 93. And then Mr. 95, Warthog 95 in beautiful Orlando, Florida. Saying good evening to everyone. Thank you for jumping in, and we'll get the X in the square right there. Kermantown, I heard earlier. Dennis, are you out there? SWL 96. All right. Likewise, sounding good from Kermantown, where the air is fresh and clear. Thanks for jumping in and saying hello. Radio here on the Old Tube Radio Network.
Break station.
This is your break station frequency. Go ahead, sir.
50 checking in.
All right. From you go to Kerman, and then you make a U-turn. And then you go left, I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, to get up the hill where you are, sounding good, Mark. I've got you checked in. Over. Mr. Monkey's uncle, SWL 50. We are on page 4. 95 is in, 96 is in, and that can only mean one thing. I would be clicking the link to Jim, Boston 97. Indeed, he is there checking in, sounding good. Someone just emailed me a picture of, and it's been a year ago. No, a year ago. It's been 6 years ago. Or was it 7? 6 years, 7 years ago, where this station here was running around Boston on the subway. I guess that's what you call it. Yeah, on the subways, and looking at a lot of bricks and having a good time in the city where the weather was nice. It was a little bit of rainy, not so rainy. Well, they sent me a picture. We were at Mike's. Was it Mike's Pastries? Sitting in the front window, having some good stuff. So reminding me of my cool time out there in Boston. Thanks for checking in, Jim. Let's go over to SWL 98. Tracy, if you're listening, I will give you a proxy check, or I'll give you a check-in, because I think you're out there. Tyler, I see you on. I see Tony. All right, we got a couple of echo links that we'll pick up here in just a moment. I want to say hello to Mr. HD himself, Radio Randy. Boy, you know what? You have a good internal clock, because we're coming up to 99. And there you are. We have absolutely, you can hear how quiet it is. The Hawaii skip has gone away. We don't have the short skip. I'm going to bring up the DX map. See, there was some 6 meter activity, but I think things have gone that way. Yeah, there it is. Nothing on the West Coast. So we do not have the short skip coming in just yet. So we'll get you checked in, but always stop by. You never know what could happen on a Saturday evening. So Randy is in. Let me go back over to my list, and we will head over to the Echo link. And let me give a call. Let me see if it's actually working. There's a couple of things I have to do to make it work here. What I need to say is there are a couple things I have to do correctly. Let me give a call to KD4BAO. Tony, can you copy KB6GFD over? Give a call for Tony, SWL 100. Out of McClellan.
Loud and clear, Dennis. Please check in SWL 100. Good to hear you. Back to net control, KD4BAO.
All right, you are sounding good, and we've got you checked in. Thanks for stopping by the Echo link, KB6GFD. And why we are on the Echo link, well, I've got the Echo link linked. Say that fast 3 times. Let's see, it's Tyler is in there from Anchorage. Let me see if we can copy Tyler. KL5 Tango Whiskey from Kilowatt Bravo 6, Germany, France, Denmark. Hello, Tyler. And I'm never sure how much delay there is between the internet and the video or wherever you might be listening, but I wanted to give a call to see if we can pick up Anchorage, Alaska here. If not, no problem. I got Tyler checked in. Here he is. Trying to get through. No audio that I can hear. Anyway, I see it, Tyler, I see you keyed up, but there was no audio. But we've got you checked in, and you are beaconing on the Echo Link. Over. And then I've got one more. Let's also try one more here while we're there. It's Kilowatt Charlie 9 November Sierra Delta. Hello, Randy. Take a transmission if you can. Talking to Randy. See if we can, the other Randy, see if we can take a transmission. KB6 GFD. Go ahead, Randy.
Hello, good evening, everybody. It's very nice to hear you, Dennis, and just want to say hello to everybody out there. Sounding great on YouTube and on Echolink after you helped me get it working. So, back to you, Dennis.
All right, well, I often have trouble getting this working myself. I think Echolink is one of those, if you're at the right place at the right time, and if you move or jiggle something, it could go away. Before you go, Randy, where are you? What's your location out there in Nineland? Over. All right, Randy is oh, here it is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in Southwest Illinois, just 50 miles south of St. Louis, Missouri, but on the Illinois side of the Mississippi River, in a little town called Redbud, Illinois. Sorry about the delay. I thought I hit transmit. Back to you, Dennis.
You know, I've done that as well. I'll be sitting there talking, and I look down, that little TX light is not on. You are sounding good. Thanks for checking in from afar on the Echolink link. We've got one more. Gary, I see in there. We'll get to you in just a moment. I want to make sure we keep the roll call moving. We have some radios that want to check in. So, 73, Randy, and thanks for stopping by. KB6 GFD. Okay, back over to the radio, the room of Radio-ness, where I want to say hello to some of the Voodoo audio crew. And Craig is listening in, jumping in here to the radio room of the Old Tube Radio Network. Craig, you are looking good. Thanks for saying hello, radio. I've listened to 40 meters briefly. I've been so busy, I've not had the HF radio on much at all for the last week. So I hope everyone is behaving. And I know, were we to have the little short E-skip, you could probably hear me by tuning in to 27085. Right now, there are no conditions going on, albeit the one that you have created for yourself here on the Universal Media Net Web. So, Mr. Mudd, thanks for checking in. We got 100 on the Echolink link. Let me go to SWL 102. And I want to see if John was... He's right there. He is right there also. Checking in tonight, Scranton, Arkansas. Hello, SWLs, and of course me. Thank you. Mr. Network Control tonight, anyway. You put on the suit, and you look like a Network Control. So I'm trying to live up to that by pressing the right buttons at the right time. Thanks for checking in. Now, here's a guy that knows how to press the right button at the right time because he has to, because he has so many of them to manipulate. SWL 34, Jimmy. Staying up late. I'm putting the X in the square. Hope all is going well where you are, near Chicago. From the... oh, you know what? I was thinking about you, Jimmy, because I didn't see the usual amount of posts. I figured you were either busy or you were in a position where it was probably best to take a little respite from all the keyboard activity. So I really appreciate the fact that you jumped in here tonight. Hopefully you've got a routine thing going on and we'll have a speedy recovery. But thanks for sending us, beaconing into the room there on the Old Tube Radio Network. Jimmy Fiedler. helping us out here tonight on the YouTube video side. Net roll call, SWL 103. Up on the hill, SWL 109. We get Crawdad a proxy check-in. You know, school has started, so he's probably involved in all sorts of school-style activities on a Saturday evening. SWL 110. SWL 111 got Robert checked in early. He came in early, and all he heard was Hawaii, so he left a note and said he will be back later. But we've got you checked in, Robert, no problem. The guy with only one friend, SWL 113. SWL 114, hello, Wayne.
114, checking in.
114, you are sounding good, sir. I will put the X in the square. Actually, it's a check mark, but I write an X on the paper, and you are checked in.
Thank you, Dennis.
Making sure I have all my buttons clicked here. Let's get 128, Fairfax, Virginia. John, did he make it in tonight? I see him from a week ago. Were I to refresh, and there he is. 42 minutes and counting. Sorry about that, John. I had my page scrolled down too far. But you are there indeed. Let me try Gary. I'm going to go to the Echo link while I have it up here. And at least get a shout out to Reverend Dr. Cherokee. Hello, Gary. Can you copy K7 KRZ KB6 GFD? Take a transmission. Let's give Gary can join us. SWL 131.
We got the 100 on the Echo link. Let me go to SWL 102.
For some reason.
Boy, that's a big delay.
And I want to see if John was in.
SWL 133. Well, you know, I thought my internet was slow. All right, Cliff will, hopefully we don't interrupt it here. SWL 135, hello, Cliff.
Yeah, hello. Let's hope this thing is working. SWL 135 checking in.
It is working, sounding good. We will find out more about that in moments when we start checking in the tube radios. Thanks for stopping by. We'll be right back to you. And beaconing over at the video side, I see you there, Red Fox 1. From
we'll find out
Johnson
more about
Road.
that.
All right, Gary's trying again.
Checking in the tube radios. Thanks for stopping.
He's trying to check in. Let's go to SWL 137. SWL 145. Tony checked in early. Tony, if you're listening, I got you checked in. Shortwave listener 147 checked in as counting. He's counting and amounting, but he's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I hope we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 radios. 147, Neil, you are in yet again. Let's see if Bobby is in. SWL 188. You know, another good 5/4 song is Jethro Tull doing Jack Frost and the Hooded Crow. Play that. See if you can't count the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going on with that. You know, Ian Anderson likes to do all that tricky stuff. I'm going to get Mr. Snowbeast checked in. 195, also up there in Course Gold. Jim, you checked in early if you're listening. The X and the square's going in again. Also, Shockwave, Mr. Shockwave, 226. And Gary, I heard you, but there was a lot of replay audio coming through into the light. But anyway, if you get it straightened out, we'll take a transmission. KB6 GFD. All right, and that's anybody else before I run away and come back so we can get the tube radios on.
Yeah, K73RZ.
Yeah, Gary, I heard you, but there was a lot of replay
all right, well, there's
audio
Gary.
coming to the play. But anyway,
Dr. Reverend Cherokee, checking in from Arizona.
All right, and that's anybody else before I run away and come back so we can get the tube radios on.
Yeah, K73RZ.
Yeah, Gary, I heard you, but there was a lot of
Okay, we'll get rid of that.
Dr. Reverend Cherokee, checking in from Arizona. All right, and that's anybody else before I run away.
Okay, I will be out of the air chair. Who's setting up for the tube radios? Don't go away. As they say, don't touch that dial or that crystal or that mouse or whatever it is you're not supposed to touch. I'll be right back, and we'll be doing the thing that we do best, the thing that we are here to do, and that is talk about, check in, test, whatever we do with your tube radios. Back in a moment. Uh-oh, I think we have double audio here. Stand by. Yes, we do. Uh-oh, I think we have double... Don't want double audio. Let me check one more thing here. All right, good to go. Stand by. Stand by for action. Or inaction, as the case may be. You are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
You may not find us on your TV, because in case you did not know, we're being brought to you by
OTR.
Brought to you by
27.085 megahertz.
Brought to you by RADI.
The Old Tube Radio Network.
There I am. You're supposed to come in as the applause are dying out. Sometimes it just takes a little while to get back to the air chair. The Old Tube Radio Network doing what we are here to do. That's going to be talking with our tube radio operators, talk about the tube sets, find out what you've got, encourage you to get one or to get on the air with the one that you may have, if it is working. And if it's not, to actually just set it on the shelf, display it behind me like I'm doing with my, I remember to turn it on, the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223. I was going through the stack, the pile of tube radios around here, and I have a lot. Were I to reconfigure the room here that I could display properly, that would look cool on the old Tube Radio Network. All right, with that said, I will stop talking, and we will be talking to the tube radios we are listening for any and all radio check-ins.
135, 135.
And let's go with that one right there at maybe 9:08 our Pacific Daylight. Is it still Pacific? When do we change? Next month? November? Do we change? I don't even know if we change anymore. Anyway, it's UTC is 4:08. Maybe that's a better way to do it on this international radio program. Hello, Cliff. Take a transmission over.
Oh, okay. I know there's other folks out there. I am a teeny bit high in frequency, so I hope it doesn't throw anything off. I don't know why, but it's over time, it's gone up. I'm at about 086 instead of 085, so yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, let's see, from Mars Hill, North Carolina, and the Hammerland Manufacturing Company. This is the Hammerland HQ 205. That's Hotel Quebec 205. Radio. Back to you.
Oh, wow. All right. Our SWLs are going to get a kick out of this one. And I guessed correctly. That Hammerland has the kind of smooth, low-frequency audio going on. And for the viewers and listeners, this is indeed an 11-meter Class D radio put out by the Hammerland Corporation that, of course, if you're familiar with Hammerland, was producer of a lot of shortwave listening devices and receivers for amateur radio. Let me bring it up onto the screen here. And yeah, like a radio like no other on the Hotel, have I got that right? The Hotel Quebec 205, right?
Yes, sir. The HQ 205, Hotel Quebec 205. By Hammerland. I forgot to do the usual thing. Yeah, 11 tubes. Believe it or not, is all it takes to run this big thing. There are 5 crystal-controlled transmit and receive frequencies with an extra 6th position. The external crystal is for an additional transmit crystal, and then you just use the VFO for receive. I like to just use the VFO receive anyway, but I can, if I get confused as to where channel 11 is, I can just slap the crystal VFO switch into the crystal position, and you're right there where you ought to be.
Yeah, so basically what you did, and Hammerland made shortwave receivers, so they took their shortwave receiver, put it in this large box, or maybe they made it into a smaller box for the Class D service here, and added a transmitter to it. And you mentioned, and I had a shot, I will go back. If you're watching the video at oldtuberadio.net, you will see the reverse side of the radio. And of course, the radio we're looking at is the one. These are pictures from Cliff's collection. So you're hearing the radio. There is the port on the back with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 crystals. So that's transmit. Okay, I guess that would be transmit and receive on one side or the other. And the various other functions on the back of the radio. There's that octal plug. I think you've got an antenna port and probably a speaker port, because there's the 2 screws and the 3 or a grounding screw. And it looks like there might be an RCA jack back. There's a lot of stuff going on in that radio, but I will go back to the front dial. So not only can Cliff join us on channel 11, when he's done, he can tune around the shortwave wave bands, right?
Oh, yeah. The receive is continuous from 0.54, it's 540 on your AM radio dial, all the way up continuously to 30 megahertz. I say, and everywhere in between, it is perfectly capable of and does a very nice job receiving AM, CW, and sideband modes all across there, so I can listen to the hams or broadcast, regular broadcast AM or any of the shortwave stations. It's one heck of a receiver, that's for sure.
Indeed it is. I went to the close-up here. I've got a couple. We're going to spend a little time here. I got a couple of questions. I don't see a microphonium plugged in on the shot, so I'm wondering where the microphonium port is. That's one question. And then there's a knob. We'll just do two at a time. There's a knob between the two VFO dials. I can think one's probably the VFO and the band spread, if that would be the way they do the receiver, where you kind of dial in 27 megs and you go to the other one to do the fine tuning. There's a knob and there's something above that knob. Is that a clock over?
No, that's the meter. It has the world's teeniest S meter. For such a big radio, it's the only thing that really bothers me about this radio. That meter is a little more than an inch wide, and about less than half an inch, high. And that knob is the receive antenna tuner. Back to you.
Yeah. So remember, we're looking at Hammerlin's shortwave radio, and there's a supposed 5-watt DC input transmitter stuck in there somewhere as well. So a lot of controls, and there's a lot of controls here for shortwave listening. Let me go back, and thank you for these photos. It helps us out. I'm going to go back to this little schematic diagram. We've got the tubes. So yeah, you've got some screw terminals to put a long wire, I would think, or a balanced antenna line. And then you've got looks like an SO239 coax. So am I correct in thinking that you need the coax connector for your transmitter? Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, transmit and receive. The coax connector is for your CB or 10 meter AM, depending on how you set up the radio. You could also set this up for 10 meter AM if you want to. And you mentioned the mic plug. I forgot to mention the mic plug. First of all, the microphone is a D104 Silver Eagle. That's what you're hearing right now. And now, if you saw in the back, there's an octal plug, or jack, I'm sorry, an octal jack. That is the microphone plug.
Wow. All right. So there's a wiring challenge. I'm hoping that somewhere in that little schematic in the back it says you need at least 2 wires, maybe 3 wires to make the thing to work, because you've got a keying circuit, which I bet has some voltage going on. So you obviously have that D104. And what great smooth audio it has. You're getting a lot of good comments, and there is some coveting of your radio, of the Hammerlin, going on for sure. I like the way you can plug the crystals in and out of the back. So if I go back to the front side, and you mentioned how you could change it's even got a crystal socket in the front. So there must be another little quickie port that you can change in. I'll do a frequency check, because you mentioned you were possibly off. I don't hear that. So there's 2 big. So where is the actual channel selector? What knob is that?
Okay, that's the lower right-hand knob. Just to the right of the crystal socket. Now that crystal socket is for any extra transmit channel that you want to plug into it. Let's say you've got a little box of all 23 crystals. You can have 5 of them in the back of the radio, like you saw. Or you click over all the way to the right. I'm not sure if it shows up in the picture, but it says EXT. That's for the external transmit crystal. So you can actually do any channel you want. And as I said before, you can actually set this up if you go and adjust a couple of things and get the right crystals. You can even go to 10 meter AM with it. Now the band spread dial. This is something you'll find only on these radios. has a special section of the band spread just for the 23 CB channels. So yeah, you set the main tuning, like right around 27 megahertz, and then you use the band spread to find your CB channel. And there is a spot switch. It's the middle switch in the upper right, so you can spot your frequency.
All right, yeah, it takes a little bit to drive this radio. It's like a Browning almost. It's all in one package, so pretty cool. Probably the best way, if the radio is old, you find where 27085, or if they actually give you channelized numbers, and put it spot on the little notch there, and then go back to the main dial and fix it so that it actually shows that channel 11 shows up channel 11. I know how those work. I see, looks like headphoniums. You got an external speaker. Cool stuff. The HQ205 from Hammerland. I'm going to say you won't find many of these on eBay. The S meter. Wow, you think they could have, especially Hammerland, and when this radio came out, could have put in maybe a Magic iTube, but then they would have had, that's way up on the top of the radio, so it probably didn't work. All right, take a transmission. I will confirm or deny your frequency offset. And Eric says there are a lot of crystal sockets for your crystal plugging in enjoyment. Your crystal plugging in pleasure. Take a transmission.
Okay. And yeah, I'm reading a... It's at 086, and it was right on frequency a few hours ago. So I'm not sure. It's the call. Yeah, I am out here in the CD Cabana as usual, but it is getting a little chillier out here, and I think that makes it go up in frequency. So where am I at? Where'd you find me?
All right, and as you know, your device working nicely. 27.085.86. So 85.8 is where I get rid of the 0 beat. If I go to 86, it starts coming in. And I, when you were testing earlier, I didn't know it was the Hammerland. I thought it was. I think you were correct. You're at an 8.5. So it is slowly. And at some point, I will have the little cool spectrum display that we can check frequency, and you'll probably see it slowly moving up the band. So were you to leave it on and then check it in December, we would have to probably go to channel 23 to find you. But anyway, you are good to go. Over.
Okay. Yeah, gee, I hope not. But yeah, that would be interesting to see. Do you hear something like a heterodyne or anything that's slowly creeping up on me as I hold the mic down? Or what?
All right, I have to be back in the proper transmit mode here. No, it is slow enough that it doesn't do that. I could check it at the beginning, because that's usually where you hear it when it keys in and goes and moves in. I guess that's the thing now. You can actually buy a device to put on your radio that moves it. 100, 200 cycles. You'll hear the guys on channel 6 when they key in and go, meow. But that's a thing. And with a tube radio, you don't have to do that. It's already installed. No, you're fine. It is not drifting as we listen. Whether it has a little stair step, shuttle step when it keys up, it doesn't. I don't hear it. You can't hear that going on. So it is good. Let me get back to. Oh, no, I didn't give you an S meter report, so. On your next go-around, we'll put the S meter up, so if you are watching it back, you can give yourself a radio report. Over.
Okay. Audio. Give myself a bigger S meter reading than I would at normal voice. Incidentally, your S meter reading, you are smack right on the 10 over. Over?
Over. All right, a cool radio. So when it's just sitting around, I don't know how many tubes it has. Let us know how much heat that thing puts out. You can listen into your favorite shortwave radio broadcast or your AM. Oh, another thing. This is such an interesting radio. I'm going to go back to the back shot. You know what I don't see? And maybe you have mentioned this. I do not see any port or any hole for a speaker. And I know on the HQ The 105. See, this is the 205. The 105 had to have an external speaker. So what are you doing for a speaker, over?
Oh, yeah. Like the 105, this must have an external... There is no built-in speaker on either one of these things. I am using the Hammerland 6x9... oh, yeah, I think it's the S100 speaker, which I guess every Hammerland guy knows what that is. It's a gray square speaker, but it has a weird 6x9 speaker in it. You know, if you looked at it, you go, oh, it has a round speaker in there, right? But no. There are speaker terminals in the back. I guess as you're facing the back, I got to turn my brain around. I guess it would be on the far left side are the speaker terminals. And now I say there's the shortwave and broadcast antenna terminals are, go towards the right. And then the SO239, like I said, is for your CB or 10-meter pleasure. Back to you.
Got it. And I changed, for those looking, I changed the picture. I have a picture. This is one from Harvey's collection. It has a little bit better resolution. You can see the two separate dials, the main dial and the band spread. I'm assuming the one with the red is the areas where if you would have your particular band. Got selectivity, sensitivity. There is the range. So when you click in, you're on the broadcast band, or probably 80 meters, 40 meters, 20. And likewise, there's the antenna trim. There's the, there it is, the, not helicopters, the Hammerland logo with the H. The S meter, even though it's not illuminated, definitely you can see on this one. And there are switches. All right, before you go, there's the other one. So band spread, band tuning, the big knobs. So from left to right, let me go back out here. We'll go from left to right. So you got 1, 2, 3, band dial, knob, dial, 1, 2, 3. So starting from the left, the flip up down switches, what are they supposed to do? Were they to be working?
No, unfortunately, all of them are actually working. Okay, from starting for the far left, that's the first one is the noise limiter, on and off. The one in the middle is the BFO switch, on and off, and then the third one there is the AVC, which in AM you really, really want that on. If you turn that off, it will blare at you. You will blow out your speaker. But on sideband, you want to turn that off. Okay, so then we go over to the right, starting on the left. It's easy enough to follow. First one is the VFO crystal switch. That switches your receive from the crystal that on the channel you have selected. Or you flip it up into VFO and you can receive anywhere you like. Then the one in the center there is the spot. That's the spot switch. And then, let's say you don't want to use a D104 like I'm using. You want to use what do you call it? A studio type mic or something. That's the transmit on and off switch. You can just hook up, any kind of microphone and use that switch for your transmit and receive. Back to you.
Very good. A lot of features that are, I'm going to call them old school receivers, especially the AVC, where, all those would be automatic gain, automatic volume control in pretty much all of the radios, at least the typical transceiver CB radios. So yeah, a little bit of working and a learning curve, like you say, to make sure that when you go from AM to sideband, you flip the switch so you don't get that distorted blare out, but it's easy to fix. All right, we're talking to Cliff, SWL135, Mr. Green Arrow, on the very rare but sometimes heard on the Old Tube Radio Network, the Hammerland HQ105. I'm trying to think of, oh, look at this. I've got a little information about Hammerland. We'll come back to that. I'll come back to that. But I want to clear with you, there's the D104 microphonium. So it's just the D104 straight in. You're not doing any audio processing or compressing or anything, right?
Yeah, it's just a D104 Silver Eagle plugged into the back. And yeah, even though it's got that octal plug-in jack in the back, as I understand, only 3 wires hooked up. So there's a lot of unnecessary connections back there. But that's the way they decided to do this for some reason.
Yeah, maybe it was, one of those things, well, we don't have room in the front panel, or maybe there would be buzzing or humming because of how we'd have to run the wires. So I'm sure they knew what they were doing. Let me go back to the control room. We'll put the S meter up. You can take another transmission, and I'll talk a little bit about Hammerland Corporation. And then I will say it's time to pick up another radio. But the HQ 205... there are others. Hammerland made the CB sets to look more like CB sets, and they made them to more look like shortwave receivers, similar to the one we've got. Great audio. You have a lot of listeners saying they want one on their shelf, as do I. Back to you for transmission, and thanks for bringing that by.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of fun. After I do this, I like to switch over to KSL on 1160 and listen to the late-night old radio shows and stuff like that. It's cool to be able to do that on the CB. Don't forget the Q multipliers. There's the 2 Q multipliers. One is for your bandwidth, and the other is for the center of the frequency of your bandwidth, which is very helpful in tuning in sideband and CW, but doesn't do you much good in AM. It just makes everything really muffled. So, with that, we'll go ahead and let it go then. God, I almost ID'd. See ya.
I used to have a Q multiplier. It was a Heath Q multiplier that was on an Hallicrafters SX 99. All right, one more. I forgot to ask you one thing, and I'll try to put up the shot that talks about that. When you go listening on the AM broadcast band or the shortwave band, and I do believe there's the coax connector, and then there's what I will say, you've got another shortwave receiver antenna switch. Are you just listening with the 11-meter antenna? Do you know if it automatically switches over to listen in on, were you to have a long wire antenna on there, or is there a switch for that? I know a lot of questions, but I think you can understand what I'm asking. So I guess one, do you have a long wire? And if you did, how would it know to discern which one to pick?
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. The band selector switch, that central lower switch, that switches it. No, you cannot, if you switch off the CB band, as it were, on the band selector switch, you will not hear anything on the the shortwave bands unless you have an antenna hooked up to the antenna terminals, the little screw terminals. And this thing has a very sensitive receiver in it. I can just put like a 10-foot, 15-foot piece of wire on it, and it'll pick up anything. But yeah, that's how it switches over. So I say, yeah, if you switch over and you don't have anything attached to those terminals, you won't hear anything. The SO239 again is just for the CB or 10-meter transmit and receive.
Okay, got it. And I missed this at first, but there actually is the dial, the tuning band, it looks like it is CB if you go to the left, right? That's its very own CB selector. So that makes sense that they could tie all the items of interest into that. Talking to Cliff on the Hammerland HQ 205. Okay, I'm sorry, one more question. How did you get the 205? Was it an eBay find? Did Uncle Fred say, I don't know what to do with this, or were you just in the right place at the right time, and or all of the above? Over.
Yeah, an unbelievably lucky persistence. Years. This radio was a fable. Okay, this it didn't exist, and I just happened to see one on eBay. Harvey got his off of eBay, and we've never seen another one before or since. It was just, miraculous luck.
I think so. And they work well. So I don't know where Harvey's is on his table, but we'll have to get him to check him in. All right. Why do there's a good question, and I don't think I have an answer for that. Somebody asking what the retail on the radio was. Hammerland, HQ 205, 540 kilocycles to 30 megacycles. Now back in the cycle day, right? In 4 bands, crystal controlled 6 channels, AM sideband CW, 115, 230 volt, depending on how you hook it up. 30 pounds, someone asked about the weight, 30 pounds. It's 11 tubes. It's got an OB2 regulator in there. 12 AX7 in the audio amp, that helps out. And all the rest are 6, the final 6 BQ5, very cool, RX channels. I do not have, I'm looking, but I do not have a out-the-door price back in 19 whenever that came through. So I bet it was, I bet it wasn't cheap. It wasn't one of your $159 radios like a Hallercrafter CB3A or something, but it probably was something that an aspiring amateur radio operator would pick up to put in with their other radios, because it had a nice shortwave receiver. Maybe it was just a bonus. Shortwave receiver, I don't know if someone would rate it as it was mediocre. No, it was really good. And there just happened to be this 11/10 meter transmitter in there. Anyway, good deal. I'm going to make a little comment about the Hammerland Corporation here in a moment, but thanks for bringing it by for our first radio over.
Thanks for letting me check it in. And hey, do you know if you're going to be around for the rest of October after next week?
Yes, it is just that one respite of the 50th high school reunion that it's a little farther away, that would keep me away from the air chair. But the rest of October should get, as we start October, should get scary and spookier, if you know what I mean.
I certainly hope so. Okay, once again, thanks for letting me check it in. Let's hope there's some other folks out there. See you next time.
And I bet there are, before we get to the other folks and the jingle singers and whatever we need to do, the Hammerland, HAMMARLUND. The Hammerland Manufacturing Company was founded by Oscar Hammerland. There you go. We've got, Edgar and Oscar. Edgar, the Johnson guy, and Oscar, the Hammerland guy. New York City, New York, in the United States, 1910. So you know that Oscar had to know Marconi and Fessenden and all those guys. When the company was dissolved in 1973, it was among the USA's very oldest producers of radio equipment. So the company didn't get sold, it was dissolved. History, the first Hammerland plant was a loft operation engaged in radio component manufacturing on Fulton Street in Lower Manhattan, New York City. All you New York SWLs out there, raise your hand and say yes. The variable capacitor designs, that's what we see with the circle with the arrow. Variable capacitor designs quickly became an industry standard, and the component schematic symbol was adopted as the company's logo in the mid-1920s. So 100 years old, that logo is. Hammerland formed a partnership called Hammerland Roberts, specifically to offer kits for AM broadcast radios using Hammerland parts. The company opened its major manufacturing facility in Mars Hill, North Carolina, in 1951. When Hammerland Roberts went out of business in 1931, thanks to the Depression, no doubt, Hammerland Manufacturing Company entered into the shortwave receiver market with introduction of the Comet Pro, the first commercial shortwave super heterodyne receiver. So no wonder that receiver is so good on that radio. Professional listening post installations made great use of the Comet Pro, and it was used also on many major exploration expeditions. So final decades, even as the company continued to produce communications equipment for the amateur, commercial, and citizen band, ding, 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 hey, they acknowledged that, citizen band radio markets, it underwent frequent changes of ownership. The first was in the late 1950s when Hammerland was sold to Telechrome. We may talk about that later. Telechrome of the clock people. Several years later, Telechrome sold out to Giannini Scientific. In the late 60s, the company was once again sold to Electronic Assistance
I wonder if you're
Corporation.
still listening. If you are and you hear me, give me a holler a little bit.
The Electronic Assistance Corporation, EAC, hello Gary, but this sale was final. The product line was sold off in parts or phased out. The Cardwell Condenser Corporation purchased all remaining stocks, and in 1973, the Hammarlund factory closed. At the time of its dissolution, Hammarlund was among the USA's very oldest producers of radio equipment. So there you go. A piece of history with us tonight on the Old Tube Radio Network. I'm going to take a quick break. We will pick up some more radios. We've got Echolink links. We will do that as well. I need to get a little bit of... They gave me some refreshments here. I'm not sure what it is, but I will do that. But you are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network, indeed.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite spot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
Hey, Cliffy.
Number 7.
And number 7, get into the air chair, but I will be right back.
Hello, Harvey.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you, it sounds great.
Oh, good. I can't wait to listen to the replay. Yeah, the Silver Eagle, I seem to remember, really improved. I haven't checked this thing in almost exactly a year. I looked at my notes, and the last time I checked it in was November of 22.
Oh, okay. Well, Dennis should be back. I'm going to wait till after Ed and whoever else wants to check something in, and then I'll do my thing with this.
Is it the Craig?
How did you guess?
This should be good.
I hope so.
You're asking him to give away trade secrets now.
Yeah. Okay, well, Ed's up next, and I'll see if anybody else wants to check stuff in, and then I'll do this.
All right, very good. Thanks for standing by and make sure that I didn't blow up anything from my long transmissions, and I think we are good to go. The Old Tube Radio Network here in Central Valley of California with our section with the tube operators and collectors. And we have another one. You know, all that time, I didn't even write down his radio on the page, but I will get that. Right now, hello, Ed, on a microphonium attached to one of those glow-in-the-dark radios. Over.
Yes, in fact, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB.
Now, we go from one of the rarest radios you can possibly get that maybe nobody has heard of to one of the most popular radios that everybody wants and everybody's heard of. Still working. Maybe this one was produced in 1973, the day that Hammarlund closed their doors. But it sounds good. Take a transmission, and I'll get a picture of it up on the screen here. Over.
Well, one of the reasons why it sounds good is because Harvey went through this thing and brought it back to life. After years of being on OTR, it decided to give up the ghost, and Harvey brought it back to life.
He's good at doing that with radios, things of that nature. In fact, I think he may have one or two tonight coming up that he has done that with. We're seeing the transmitter-receiver combination. There, somebody might be saying, if watching for the first time, well, you're showing two radios. Which one is it? It is both. It is a separate transmitter and a separate receiver. So we had old school with the Hammerlin 205, with the band spread tuning and the AVC non-automatic knobs that you switched, here's another old school way to do something where you have the transmitter separate and the receiver separate in a style, I don't know. I think it was just, back a long time ago, you had heavy radios, and you probably make them too heavy putting them in one box. There was heat from the tubes, and so Browning just kept that style, and it's pretty cool. Take a transmission.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, this one definitely got one of the better receives of the tube radios, so I could listen to this thing all day long and enjoy it just like I would any of the other modern radios.
And as a listener, we could do the same, and it probably has a lot of features and sounds where you'd put it up on, some IMD scopes that are better than a lot of today's radios. It certainly doesn't have the limiting controls and things after ex post facto the FCC wanted installed in the newer transistorized radios to keep people from distorting. It sort of was up to the operator to get in, operate the microphone correctly, but it's very hard to get a bad sound out of a Browning, that's for sure. And yours is doing quite nicely.
Oh, a little longer screaming there, just for your listening pleasure, unless you have headphones on. In that case, I'm sorry.
Well, I have them. I do have my headphones on, but it wasn't bad, and you orchestrated it nicely. One of the features, or is it a failure? Maybe it was a failure at first, but for the feedback between the transmit and the receive, but Browning quickly turned it into a feature, and I suppose they had a standard size capacitor, that this is our Browning sound, but leave it to those crafty operators to say, we can customize our own little startup key up. And so Ed flipped the secret switch. And as many did back in the day, to make you know when he's on the air. Tracy, I did get you in 98. We've got you in, so thanks for. I hope we woke you up. Maybe something else happened, but Tracy, SWL 98, is back in the air chair. Thank you, Ed. You are looking good for Radio 2 tonight. The microphonium, of course, one that goes with the radio, and it sounds good.
Oh, thank you. With that, we'll let you get to a couple other radios.
All right, indeed. The Old Tube Radio Network, the Jingle Singers would like to perform one more time with feeling.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest nation for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
The station for you is
OTR.
Known to all, or most. Maybe we're known to all. We've been doing this on this particular airwave, 27085, since the middle to late 1980s. I know. It sounds no. But I probably have a picture of myself long before the seersucker suit. Well, actually, the seersucker suit was probably in my closet. We just didn't dress up in those days. And there were many multiple net controllers and many multiple SWLs and radio operators, many of which are still out there joining us here in 2023. So it can be done. Harvey, are you by your radio of choice? Over.
Oh yeah, but if somebody will give one to me, then I don't have to buy it. Yeah, I am. This one, I can't check in. It's solid state, but I'm selling it because I don't have a place for it. It's a Craig 4201 base, 23 channel AM only. I've got a amplified dynamic hand mic on it, and let me know if it sounds all right.
Yeah, it sounds very good. The audio is nice and punchy. You sound like you. We'll do the obligatory 0 beats frequency thing. I'll do the Orban meter thing, but so far, so good. Over.
Roger. I don't generally work on these things, but I checked it out. I also noticed that you could add some crystal. Excuse me. So I didn't add them, but I did play with it a bit, and it'll go all the way down to 26,400 and up to 27,605 with the crystals I had. So that's interesting. Anyway, something else I was going to say about it, but well, anyway, I modified the channel selector because there was a space, a clicked-in space between 22 and 23, and now it gets channel 24 also. 22, then 24, then 23. So it has that in it. But I can't talk on it too long because it's balancing on top of something else. So let me sign off of this one, and then I'll get back to you on another radio once I move this down onto the floor. Won't take me long.
Okay, well, don't move it just yet. I got a couple of questions. What was the model number? I have 401, but I know that's not correct.
4201. It's in Sam's PhotoFax, book number 99, I think. Anyway, dynamic hand mic, amplified, very, it's got a nice control on top. Takes a 1.5 volt battery, double A, so you don't have to fool with those 7-volt batteries. The mic goes with the radio, but as I said, it's a little hard to balance here. So let me come back on another one.
Okay, come back another one. I was trying to get a shot of the 420, and the Craigs had kind of an interesting style on their radios, with the front side of them. So were I to get a shot here, I've got something. It's not exactly what I want to see, but there it is. The 4201 bass with the sort of oval-esque speaker and the round. They like the round thing. They like the round meters and the dials. And wait a minute, does it have 2 S meters, or is one of the ones with an S meter and it has like an SWR meter? So anyway, very sleek looking radio, and it is 23 channels, I think you said, because it had the infamous 22A. Over.
Roger. Yeah. Oh, by the way, that radio keys up about 4 or 5 watts, swings to about 12 or 13. Anyway, yeah. I didn't want to have to balance that anymore. Anyway, I'm selling it. I want around $275 for it. What do you think of that, Dennis?
Why, that's just pennies a transmission. So does it have? I'm trying to be discreet here and not put somebody's copyrighted pictures up. But does it have the wood sides, a la like a tram with the little wood sides? That's what I'm seeing here.
Yes, it does. I forgot to mention that. They could use being redone. It's easy to do. Just pop them off, get the wood you want, use these as a template, cut it, the wood, or stain it, and put it on. And I did that to my Demco Star, which I have, excuse me, up on the top shelf. I have, what is it, red oak sides on it, stained, a reddish kind of color. Looks really great. Anyway, let me look at my phone. I got some nasty grams saying the 275 might be too much. What do you think, Dennis?
Well, maybe. Let's see. It's a 5-watt radio. If you charge per watt, people are sort of used to tube radios. So maybe in the transistor world, and let's see. Aaron says he's got one in his closet. Mr. Cornbread says, Craig's a good radio, said he ran one. Maybe you'll have to do some, as we say, old tube radio deep cut discounts. Over.
Well, I don't like deep cut discounts. I got another nasty gram. Okay, all right, okay. I need to sell that thing, so I'll throw this radio in with it. You think that?
Well, wait a minute. I missed something. You're throwing what radio in?
This one I'm talking on.
Oh, so it's sort of the 2-for-1 deal?
I'll make it a 2-for-1 deal. They buy the Craig 4201, they get this one.
Okay, so that is something that might get them, as they say, in the door. The little showstopper. All right, so you buy one, and you get one free. So we're purchasing the 4201 for a mere $275, and with it, were you to say, yeah, that's a radio. I remember having that radio in my closet. It didn't go into the trash, but tell us about the other radio that comes along with it. Over.
Okay. Well, you probably want to know what this one is.
Yes, I do, and so do the old tube radio operators and SWLs. Over.
Okay. This is a Browning R2700A 23S9 with banana mic, and the banana mic comes with the stand. I've gone through it. All the electrolytes have been replaced. Any tube that needed it, which most did, they've been replaced. Any resistor that I found out of tolerance has been done, and it doesn't look that bad. The transmitter, the lower part, the lighter brown, that probably has seen better days, but it's not bad at all. I can take a picture of it and send it to whoever wants to know, but all the crystals are in the transmitter. About all of them are pretty much close or on frequency. The receiver works good, and going with it is a extra bonus is a channel 11 receive crystal, which are hard to find. They are 4.770 megahertz, and I had one, I plugged it in, and it receives just about as sensitive and good as the tunable receive, which is pretty good. Anyway, R2700A, 23S9, original banana mic, original cord, and anybody that has questions, they can get a hold of me. But you got to take both radios. You got to buy the 4201 to get this one.
All right, as Madman Muntz used to say, such a deal. I found an ad from probably 1961. 61 to 62, when these radios were jumping around from Browning, and they had obviously a couple of different 2700s. The greatest pair on the air for CBers who demand the very best. The 23/S9 brings all channel operation, and Harvey mentioned that there are all crystals for all channels in there, including a extra special channel 11. So all channels to your base station, a standing wave indicator, Pi network circuitry, TVI trap, spotting switch, and many other features that make it the talk of the airwaves, that it is right now in the Old Tube Radio Network. Also available, the famous S9 and compact transmitters. But this is the 23S9 from Browning Laboratories out of their Laconia, New Hampshire area. The 2700A base station receiver is the world's most up-to-date CB receiver, has antenna tuning control, planetary ball drive, all-channel tuning control, silicon rectified power supply, selective, sensitive, sensational. There you go.
Roger. 47 microfarad cap for the ping. The original, and it's probably the original cap for ping was in there, which is a 4 microfarad at 450. And when you keyed it up, it just went ping, ping, like that. That's all it did. From what I understand, the R2700, which was the first one that they made for 11 meters, had a 20 microfarad cap in there, and it did a decent squeal, and some people complained, so they changed it, but other people complained, hey, we like it, so they, the later ones, they put 20 microfarads back in. But they went, well, for this one, it came out with a 4. And I put a 47 in it. Anyway, I'll turn it back to you. And anybody who wants it, you got to buy a 4201. And we'll talk to you about it. Okay, thank you, Dennis.
Yeah, you got too much inventory. We're clearing out the lot so that the new models, the new 67s, can come in. I'm showing a real photo of the 23S9. Quick question. The one we're showing, I think this is from Paul's collection. It has I'll call it the chicken head selector knob, but it's large. So the one you have, is it the standard size chicken head, or is it the large stretched out one? Over.
Well, mine's the larger stretched out one, where the top is the pointer is just under the circled number, and the back just almost covers the number opposite it on the bottom. So it's a longer chicken head.
Okay, that's what I'm seeing here. That's the one we have displayed. It goes right to each number. So if you're on channel, whatever that is, 9 or 10 or something, you're down on channel 1 as it goes across. And comes with the 600-volt, 47 microfarad capacitor. Hello to JB, listening in from the Big Island. We're talking Browning here, as we often do. Alpha Kilo 295 says he's starting on his collection, his Browning collection. He's got a microphone. Just needs something to attach to. Make sure, it makes 295, make sure you have the right microphone plug. It's that Browning, that weird Browning plug that only has the two pins in it. That'll make it a lot easier to start your collection. All right, and we are listening to the 2700A receiver 23S9 transmitter, which is for sale as a bonus when you pick up the, what is the other radio, Harvey?
The Craig 4201 23-channel bass with amplified dynamic mic. Anyway, that's what we got for sale right now. The Craig 4201 with a bonus.
47.
And it's always nice to have a bonus on your old tube radio network. All right, thanks, Harvey. We'll be perhaps talking about this in future, maybe or maybe not, future episodes of the old tube radio network. And it sounds like a deal. Were you to be under an umbrella? Oops, let me turn that down. Were you to be under an umbrella? I might say it sounds like a shady deal, but you are not under an umbrella, so it is certainly not. So thanks for stopping by. Over.
Roger. Okay, I hear another eagle. Okay, take care. I got a phone call, so I got to go back to the phone. But I'll be listening. Thank you.
Okay, not a problem. So thanks for Radio 3 and Radio 3.5. And we have Radio 4. Hello, Ed.
A Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68 D Mark nothing.
Well, from 1961, and their offerings there to basically their offering from 66, 67, R68 T68, and I'm sure Harvey will appreciate hearing that. He's got a Beagle. He's got a Bagel. I don't know. I think yours is probably the standard. Maybe you've got a Bongle there. I will bring up a photo of the ad that was displayed back ever so long ago, and you can take a transmission.
Oh, there you go. Yep, that's the critter, except for the external speaker. I do not have the external speaker, but everything else, the banana mic and the small transmitter and larger size receiver.
Indeed. This was the follow-up radio to the first Eagle. That was the R27S23. The Golden Eagle, where you had the nice flying golden wing spread eagle on the speaker. And then they modified it. It did something. I'm not sure. Jimmy would know what they did between the Golden Eagle and the Mark II. I think the Mark II, they were starting to add extras where you could put in sideband adapters and things like that. But for good old YAM, you've got a good thing here. Is there a sideband selector on the receiver or is it just strictly AM?
No, this is strictly an AM radio.
Okay, and I thought so because around the time this came out, 67 to 68. That was right at the beginning. So this is probably begat in 1966 on the drawing board. And the Tram Titan 2 was double sideband. The Regency Imperial was double sideband. I think those all came out in 67 or 68. So this was on the drawing board, and that's probably why it had a short-lived, 12, 16-month run, because they figured out that they needed to go to the Mark II to get some sideband in there. But we are not to need sideband. This is a player for sure. The Browning Golden Eagle Series 2, there's a Series 1 had a lighted on the air light rather than the spotlight that they had on the Series 1. And some receivers have a variable RF gain. Others have a 3-position switch for RF gain. The wood cabinet, which you don't have, is $25. The optional bass speaker that you don't have was $23.50. Not today, but back in 1967. So do you have on your RF gain, are you switching that like high, low, medium or something, or do you actually have the variable mode of operation over?
No, I have the 3-position switch, so I do not have a variable.
Okay, that could be the Series 1. What was the other one? The Browning Golden Eagle Series 2 had a lighted on the air light rather than the spotlight on the Series 1. So I'm assuming, where is that on the air light? Is it on the receiver or the transmitter?
It is on the transmitter, and yes, it lights up when I transmit.
Okay, so that might be the earlier Series 1 version. I certainly couldn't tell from listening to it, but it sounds good. The microphonium, if you told me, I forgot to write it down. The microphonium of choice with this radio, over?
I'm using the same Browning Banana microphone.
Good. I was hoping you would say that because we have a picture of the Browning Banana microphone. Very interesting style where it comes out of the bass. You don't have to. A D104, when you're swinging that thing around to orchestrate your ping, you got to be careful. But the Banana style microphonium, and I think that's an Electro Voice. Whoever thought of that was very clever to make it pull out of the bass, and it definitely makes it a little bit easier to get the sound you want.
Yes, it definitely is a little bit easier that way. I like the little Banana mic, and yes, it's made by Electro Voice. So I've seen some out there that are gray, and I actually saw one out there that was blue. So there's a few different ones out there.
Yeah, we get something this special and been around for a while. There could be some modifications. You are looking good at Radio 4, the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68. Let's see, what didn't I put the S meter on? Everybody can see that you are 20 over. I'm sounding every bit of it. We'll put on the Orban meter so your next transmission. Thanks for bringing it by.
And thanks for letting me check it in.
Sounding good on the old Tube Radio Network. Can it be 10 o'clock already? Is it? A lot of our listeners, it is now October. We are stuck here in September, and a lot of you are crawling into October trying to stay awake. So let me have the jingle singers try not to put us to bed just yet before we do the counting and the mounting.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
Be modern, and I'm going to do some counting and mounting, and they just handed me the pen. No, actually they didn't. I lied. They have the pen sitting there. It's my job to put it in my pocket, but I often forget. So before we go away for a little while, let me see if I can find the less than stellar close-up cam. It's not that one. It should be this one. All right, and tonight's sponsor, Hoffman. Maybe I can read it better in the close-up. Where are we? Okay. Hoffman, no, I can't. Hoffman Easy Vision Television. So a TV, Western radio, television supply out of San Diego. Well, look at that, out in India Street. So very nice and very, I thought we focused this camera before we started here. Very heavy duty, all metal. Look at the chrome and or the brass, the nice printing. They just don't. I think it's impossible to get. Well, maybe it's not. You have to buy probably a $20 pen to get that these days. And these were gratis, probably free stuff that they gave away for coming in and looking at their televisions and say, you know what, honey. We are not going to spend. We're not going to spend $400 on that console color top. We're going to go over to the radio shop and buy a Browning R27 S23. All right, there's stuff falling on the floor. I will be back. We are counting and amounting. Over.
Number 7.
All right, number 7. Hold on. I'm going to dip out of camera here and find. There it is. It's tricky how I do that. Find the mouse that went crashing on the floor, and I'm using a wired mouse because the wireless mouse was having problems, and now you know why it's falling off? Because there's not enough cord. Can you still hear me? Over.
Oh, yes, I can still hear you. I figured I would go ahead and bring by the good old Tram TR27E.
Okay, thank you for getting us out of the B's on the Rolodex. Not that there's anything wrong with the B's on the Rolodex. I'll scroll to the T's, those who like green radios. And, and you remember it. Back in the early days of OTR, there was a healthy, I don't know, a discussion between the trams and the general radio telephones and the Brownings as to which one would be more likely to be a parts radio. For those in the old school that always thought that the Brownings were were more of a parts radio and the trams were not. I applaud your selection. I've got a picture, and over to you for transmission.
Ah, yes, the good old tram, along with the Electro Voice 638 microphone. And I do believe, yep, you have a picture of the very radio on which I am speaking.
Because you were gracious enough to send it in. Extra mystery switch, but like many of our radios tonight, a separate transmit and receive, crystal controlled, always, even with the Hammerland, always crystal controlled on the transmit as per the FCC, as per the Class D, to make it easy to get on frequency, as it were, no dialing and tweaking in, but you still had to tune in the receiver, and then the meter that we all want, the very large. It says Tram Electronics right on it, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, it does. Tram Electronics, nice big letters, and of course a nice big S meter. I can even see it without my glasses, and my eyes aren't quite what they used to be. But yeah, the little channel selector for the channel switch, on the other hand, is tiny. I don't know why they did that. Nice big VFO, nice big SWR meter, and then a little tiny channel selector.
Now, there's a question for Harvey, because he's probably been in the back of these. I wonder if it's on some type of a turret, although it doesn't look like it. It's down at the bottom. It may be on the way they have it selecting the frequencies of the crystals. If it's on a rotary turret, that may be the best they could do. They had to put the numbers on a wheel, and the wheel can only go so much, and it's like, all right, cut a hole in the cabinet and put a light behind it. And that's what you got. Similar to your receive, it's on a wheel, but you've got it crystals. The VFO, the receive, you don't have crystals sticking out of it, but the transmitter, you do. Well, there you go. You've got Chrissy to come back to the shortwave listener desk, and say yes, she likes the tram. So good deal. Give us a transmission. It is sounding good.
Ah, yes, and the green radio is back for Chrissy once again. Yeah, actually, the channel is not on a rotary like that because the crystals are right in the top of it. There's a little tiny plate on the right-hand side there. You take 2 screws out, you take the little plate off. It's about a 5x7 plate, and you got all your crystals right there so you can change them out.
Okay, well, just their way of, what are we going to do with this? You'll cut a hole, but it's good. I mean, at least you can see where you're at. And the Green Monster 27E has 1 receive crystal socket, according to Jim. Let me go back to the picture, which I'm not looking at. Where is it? Oh, yeah, Extel, the good old Extel, there it is, the Extel receive. So somewhere there is a switch to engage that, no doubt.
Yes, down by the channel selector and down by the modulation light that winks and blinks when you get modulation going. There's a little switch there for M and X, one for the manual and the other one for the X-Towel receive.
And similar when you were dialing about with your receiver tune, and the Hammerland also, there's where for transmit. It was really nice to take your dial, and it's for what we're doing tonight. The reason you would have that is it's like on Saturday nights I go to channel 11, and I always do that, and it sure would be nice because my home channel's up on 23, and you have to turn the dial, spot the switch. To have this special switch on Saturday evening, you flip it, and you are right on channel 11, no tuning, no spotting, because of course you're making sure you put your transmit channel on 11, and you are good to go. So thinking of everything to make it easy and nice for the Class D 11-meter operator. Sounding good as always, and thanks for bringing it by as our radio number. Where's my list? Radio number 5, over.
And thank you, and with that we'll be listening in.
How about this one?
Did I hear an item of interest? Over.
This is an item of interest, but not for sale.
All right, well, it doesn't have to be for sale. Sorry, to the listeners, I keep inadvertently keying the microphone. The J38 key has gotten to the point where I just have to barely touch it. And it's keying the radio, so I think my spring tension is going wacky. All right, well, sir, I don't know which brand you have selected there. Well, I know which brand, but which flavor you have selected, so tell us what you got over.
Well, this is the Browning Golden Beagle by Browning Lavatories, custom D104. It's one of my favorites. By the way, the Craig 4201 is sold. So I got a phone call, and so I said, okay, and it'll go out next week. Anyway, so now I don't have to deal with that solid state piece of garbage.
As we say in the biz, solid state. My guess is somebody had that radio as their first ever radio, or it was one of those memories, right? It's one of those memory things that it's like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry I got rid of that radio, but just because of sentimental value. So hopefully that's the case, and someone can relive their early on 11-meter dreams. Over.
Well, the person that's getting it said, yeah, I like it. It's kind of cute. I like kind of how it looks in front. Okay. Anyway, yeah, if they want to go into it and mess with it, it's only 23 a.m. Well, 24 a.m. now. There are actual spots where you can insert the crystals. The crystals are soldered onto the board, but they left 3 extra holes. I made a 4th extra set of holes, and you can plug crystals into that, run your wires here, there, and everywhere, and get all the extra channels. And if you put the switch in the right spot, it shouldn't change your frequency too much, with extra wires. But I didn't actually install that, but I checked to see how high and low you can go. It drops about 3/4 to a watt when you go to 26,400 and then 27,605. But since it swings so high, it's not a problem. Anyway, I'll turn it back to you. The Golden Beagle, R68, T68, roof.
All right, and I'm being chided for not knowing that would be the radio that you would be checking in, and indeed the check-in. Sounding good. That Craig has that look. There was a 1970s, late 60s, 70s look of the oval. I've got this strange clock that I got in high school, which is a Segway. So that was 50 years ago. That has that oval round look. It's a I don't know. It was a bell-bottom thing or a twiggy thing or a mod. Maybe that's it. MOD, not mid-century modern, but mod. It's the radio. That's what it is. The radio looks mod, MOD. So if you are into that, if you still have, where that radio would go well, if in the living room, if you still have the green or the red, really long shag carpeting. That Craig is the radio for you. Over.
Roger. Well, I do have a lot of solid-state radios. They're all in storage. I ended up with a couple of boxes of base radios and mobiles. I think most are 23 channel, but some are 40. But they're all the older ones, and I have no idea how well they work, or if at all. but they're in storage. But this one, I actually bought this one because it was very inexpensive, and it came with a D104 amplified. And I went, huh? And I looked at the opening bid, and I went, I mean, that's cheaper than most bids for the opening bids for the mic. So I waited around. I think there was one other bidder, and I ended up with it. The mic did not work. So I went, darn. But I figured out that it was one of the transistors on the preamp board. I could see it looked a little burned out, or burned up. So I put another one in, works great. So that's why I ended up with the crate. But anyway, I'll turn it back to you, and that should do it for me. And you might proxy me in next week if I don't get back. Oh, no, you won't. That's right. Don't have to worry about next week.
Yeah, everybody gets a proxy check-in next week. We're going to be out drinking our, what is it, Foxman? Drinking our RC Cola and our Nesbitt's lime soda. Remember putting a dime in the machine and you pull the bottle out and you take it back and get a cent, 2 cents or something. Back in the day when you would buy these radios, right? So whatever happened to those 10-cent soda bottles, or is it pop, or whatever you call it, depending on your East Coast, West Coast. Thanks, Harvey. It is time for me to get out of here. Any other stations that need to check in before I do counting and amounting and then go to the front office and tell them why we are so overtime tonight? I know why, because we have some great, as always, we have some great radios checking in. Anybody else? And Hans, I know we went late tonight, huh? Thanks for staying up with us and letting us know that October is actually happening. We're still waiting for October. A lot of people are into that, so we will catch you. I am, again, out of the air chair next week, and then we will be back 2 weeks from that, going to a high school. I don't know why. Going to a high school, mainly because I've got people telling me I got to go. So that's what we are doing. All right. Let me ask them to do the thing that they do so that I can actually tell you what's happening.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
The current and final totals, clear the rigs, and you know what? Let's get rid of me. There we go. Tonight, who was the most heard radio? I'll tell you. I'll tell you if you want to know. And the shortwave listeners tonight, we had a total of 73. Yeah, that's a good number to be on the radio. 73, 20 on page 1, 15 on page 2, 15 on page 3, 23 on page 4. When we come back in 2 weeks, we will have the new 00. Thanks to 147 out there in Kakalaki, to Neil for doing a good job of getting us started off each week, even through the skip. Lots of skip land. Radios tonight, the most heard manufacturer, the Brownings, although thank you to the Hammerlin and the Trams for not making it a total runaway. The Hammerlin HQ205. The video's up for a while. You want to see the replay on that? The audio's up on the archive by clicking on, I think it's the archive, and the magnetophone comes up, and then you will look for the date. The date that you were listening to, and you can hear it back that way. So cool stuff. If you are a true SWL, you want an HQ205. Radio number 2, the Browning Golden Eagle Mark III SSB. Thanks to Mr. Ed for that. Harvey on the west side brought the early version of the Browning 2700A 23S9, which he says is for sale. Wow, I don't know. I guess it's for sale. The thing that you had to buy to get that has been sold. So talk to Harvey. He'll probably have to let that go at that price he was talking about, or something like it. So you know what to do. Radio number 4, Mr. Ed and the Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68. The one between the 2 and the Eagle. The first Golden Eagle, the Browning Mark None, as he said, and he also brought by Our only tram in the evening, the Tango Romeo 2070 from 1963, the big green box. And as you heard moments ago, Harvey with the Beagle. It wouldn't be OTR night unless we had the Beagle. So all you Snoopy fans, maybe you should call that radio Snoopy. I don't know. The Browning Golden Beagle R68T68. And I think that's all I have here. Let me reset the transmitter so it doesn't go away. It doesn't cut out on me. Thanks to our Echolink linkers up tonight. That kind of worked. And all of you that join us from wherever you come from, whether it's old radio night or jumping in or maybe by accident. If you're here by accident, I won't apologize because you need to come back next time and see what we're up to. 73, everybody. The Old Tube Radio Network back in 2 weeks as I put on, I don't know, for 1973, I probably have a very, and I know I have it because I think I've worn it here before, my leisure suit. My horribly outdated leisure suit. Maybe I should wear that. I will see. If it still fits, it's fair game. Good night, everybody, from the Old Tube Radio Network. Who just checked in? GWD. Always in the shadow. I don't know. Maybe there's a light out up there. What you do is you go like Popcorn 913. You go to the mezzanine and you lean way over. Do not follow, but you lean over the mezzanine and they got those lights. And then wave for net control. We will see you. 73, and we will talk to you later. The Old Tube Radio Network.
Good show, Dennis.
Thanks to everybody else.
I guess that's my cue to exit stage left. I don't know if you're listening to the Echolink or not, Dennis, but thanks for running the show. Had a great time. L5 Tango Whiskey.
Hey, Tyler. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just shutting everything down. I see you on the screen. Yeah, the Echolink is a bit tricky to work on the delay from listening on whatever you're listening to and then back to the Echolink. That's why I try. Let me turn down my background here. Here we go. I try to key the Echolink a little bit early, and I'm going to somebody to kind of cue them that they are there. Anyway, it's good. We had some great radios, and I hope all is well up north there.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, and it helps with the Echolink if you remember to poke the lightning bolt and then let it be. Don't sit there and hold it. That's why you couldn't hear me earlier. Operator error on my end there.
All right, and I've got the Echolink on a separate computer, and I have got multiple screens open, so I have to make sure I have the proper screen connected, or else I'm tapping on the space bar and nothing's happening. So I got to get it over to that. Then I got to remember to untap the space bar. So yeah, I guess it's like being a drummer. You've got all hands and feet and everything going at the same time, and you have to stay in sync, whether it's 2/4, 3/4, or 4/4, or 5/4 time. Anyway, have a great evening, and glad you could join us. Over.
Well, that was strange. Sounded like your internet was cutting in and out, and I lost part of that. But anyway, good. Have a good evening, Dennis. If it had been a half hour earlier, you'd have heard me live and live in living color on the air I was getting down into your receiver. I could hear it myself. But as usual, about the time the net starts, my conditions fade away. Anyway, all right, let you go, Dennis. Have a good evening. Thanks for running the net. Cal 5 Tango Whiskey.
Yeah, we even heard JT out. He's in New Jersey? No, where's he at? Anyway, wherever he's at, he came in for a second too, but Hawaii just kind of wipes everybody out. So cool. Be listening. Conditions are changing as the sun goes down. 73 to you, KB6GFD.
Yep, Roger. Have a good evening. Good night. Bye. I'm out.